Hello, happy early afternoon, everybody. My name is Iva Polakova, and I am the host for this weekly show. And welcome if you're new to this. Welcome back if we have been connected for a while. Today, I wanted to bring everything back to freedom and why we do what we do in our business. And freedom can mean a lot of different things, but today I want to talk about emotional freedom and creating that in your business with the help of an 8-week cycle. So what you guys know about me is that we teach our entrepreneurs how to build 6 and 7-figure businesses, right? And we teach them how to scale very, very quickly, right? And too many times we get into the rut of doing, and things aren't working as well as we would like things to work. And if you're joining me here, by the way, welcome. I'm so excited for you to be here. Make sure you say hi. But I'm super curious about when you hit a wall and you're not getting the results that you like, what is your go-to thing? Because there are people who shut down, do less, get discouraged, right? And there's other people that do more, work harder, and tend to overwork. So I'm super curious, which category do you fall into when things get hard and you're not getting the result? Let's say you're trying to do a retreat, you're trying to do a launch, and bailing out. Somebody says bailing out. I don't know. Okay, it shows like this. You guys, if you click the thing above, I'm going to be able to see your name too. But anyway, yeah, thank you so much for being honest, right? My thing is that I tend to work harder. I tend to overwork. I tend to push more because I tell myself, if I just do more, it's going to work out better, right? And then that tends to backfire as well. So today I wanted to bring everything back to the 8-week cycle, which is a way to offset either one of those things, right? Because there is a third way to handle things when you're not getting the results that you want. And that is to take a complete step back from your business, detach from it emotionally, up-leveling your frequency. And that is because you cannot solve the problem that you've created it at the same level, at the level that you've created it, right? Because you're just not going to see the obvious solutions. You're not going to be able to attract the right clients or attract more of the clients or the team members and so on and so forth, right? So the way to scale your business, right, is if you really truly want to go to 7 figures, there's a few keys to it, right? That we have discussed so many times before. Having the right team, making them profitable, having scalable systems, having scalable sales, right? Through doing virtual retreats and so on and so forth. But there is one missing piece that I want to talk about today, and there's the spiritual piece. And that has to do with a week 8. And it has a lot to do with probably not what you expect. It has to do with doing the shadow work and doing the frequency work, which is shadow work, right? Here's the thing. The state of your business, how your business is showing you exactly and precisely what you to need to work within you. Business is a mirror. When you have a launch, it's not going the way you want it to go. There's something for you to look at internally, right? And there's very few business coaches that are going to tell you that, right? Because where most people look is, what am I doing wrong? My strategy is wrong. My tactic is wrong. Maybe my positioning wrong. And all those things you need to look at as well. But the biggest thing, the biggest reason why things aren't working the way you want them to is because there's some area on your spiritual journey that you haven't looked at yet. You have not pulled out of the subconscious. There's some work that you have not done yet, something that you have not yet released. Am I making any sense here? Do I sound like a crazy person here saying that? Love to hear some feedback from you guys. Right? So I see so many entrepreneurs, they come into a program, they're like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed, or I'm so confused, or this and that. And I'm like, is this the only area of your life that's showing up? Or do you get overwhelmed as a parent? Do you get overwhelmed in relationships? Do you get overwhelmed in other areas as well, right? Because it's not the business that is making us overwhelmed, right? Or confused. There's always, the business is literally reflecting to you where you need to grow. Business is a spiritual transformation tool. Okay, so let's talk about the 8-week cycle. I created it for one reason, and I decided why I really created it or why it's there is a completely different reason. Quite honestly, I just wanted a vacation every 8 weeks, right? So I did that for a while, and I realized what the week 8 needs to be for is an entirely different thing. So first of all, what I mean by an 8-week cycle is literally some people do quarterly planning, some people do monthly planning. We do 8-week planning, and every 8 weeks have a steps to it. It's the same repeatable process. Every week has a different purpose, different intention, and different goal to it. And then we, make some adjustments and do it again. All right. So what it looks like for us is that, in our company, this is week 1, by the way. Week 1 is a reset, is a restart of the cycle. There's some strategic planning. Week 2 is typically a mini conversion event that we do. For example, next week, we're doing a mini retreat. We're doing like a 2.5-day launch into our tier 2 program, which is our 7 or 8 figure program, 6 to 7 figure program, and 8 after that, right? So we do a little mini conversion event, right, where we work with a super small number of people and we go deep with them in our mini retreat. And we work with pretty high level entrepreneurs and we get them get to the next level, right? So that's our week 2. Week 3 and 4 and 5 is a pretty heavy lead generation and sales cycle. And we're getting ready for our week 6, which is our main 7-day retreat, where our goal is to generate now between $300,000 and $1 million in revenue, right? Which, by the way, if that's like big number to you, just know, for those of you guys who know me, know that about now 19 months ago, I was at, big zero, maybe not zero, it was like a few $100s a month in revenue. So don't get discouraged by that. Don't think that I'm so different from you, because I'm really not, right? Week 7 is an onboarding week, and I go into the details of it in our retreat. This is not something you have to memorize. If you're attending next week, then I'm going to go into quite a bit of a detail on this, right? But week 7 is our onboarding week, when we onboard a group of our clients into our Yalong Tier 1 incubator, right? And so our focus is all on our clients. We're not doing any outside sales or prospecting or any of that. And then week 8 is where the magic really happens. So week 8 is where we shut down the company. Everybody goes on vacation. And we try to leave on vacation. Some of us leave on Friday to turn it into a 10-day thing. Some people leave at the end of Friday, right? And that week is what I want to talk to you about, because that week is everything. That week I can't even tell you. And it's I thought it was about the rest, and it really isn't. It is about a spiritual transformation. It is about slowing down enough to start noticing all the BS, all the beliefs, all the thoughts, all the modus operandi, all the patterns, all the resistances, all the fears, all the judgments that you make. And you have to slow down enough, which is very, very hard to do during operating your business, right? During the normal weeks when you're doing this and you're doing that, and you're raising a family and you have responsibilities and parents and, brothers and sisters and whatever, right? Like the things that you have to deal with. It's nearly impossible for us in this modern life to slow down enough to actually do the spiritual work. And that's what week 8 is for. Okay. So Um, I mean, and I will tell you the impact. If there's a single thing that had the biggest impact of me being able to grow as fast as I've been able to grow my business, right? And my team as well, with being a single mom to now a 16-month-old, and do that in between being, 6, 7 months pregnant. And now this is the thing that has had the biggest impact on being able to do that, right? Because it, like, everything that I created in the previous 8 weeks or 7 weeks, I had the opportunity to kind of put that back and create something completely new, but because of the spiritual growth that I'm doing. All right. So how do you do it? How do you do this? That is a little bit of a tough thing, because there is so many different modalities. There's so many different things that you could do, right? There are meditation retreats, there are healing retreats. There is self-therapy. There's the IFS work. Anybody a fan of any of those? Anybody a fan of IFS? Anybody a fan of whatever? I want to hear from you guys. What is it that you do? What is the most transformative thing that you have done? I invite you to comment in the chat. What is the most transformative thing that you have done? Be it a retreat, be it working with a healer, coach, or shaman, or whatever. What is the most transformative thing that you did, or plant medicine, or whatever it is? What is the thing that supported you the most on your healing? Because this is different for everybody. But I just had this discussion on Monday morning session with our clients, and we're all reflecting what was the most really just quantum leaping thing spiritual in our life. And there was a theme for us, and the theme was like going through some really dark shit, like doing some really, really, really difficult shadow work. And sometimes it was intentional, going through a pretty heavy duty retreat type of thing. And sometimes it was unintentional. Sometimes it was going through some really hard stuff and transitions in our life, right? Like whether it was a death or a divorce or, some other trauma that then had us go through some heavy duty work, right? So I want to just share with you, and hopefully Facebook doesn't shut me down for this, but last week was our week off. And I will tell you, the person that I was 9 days ago is not the person that I'm today. It's not even remotely similar or same. Like, I didn't even tell you, I just don't even feel like the same person. And that is the goal, right? That is the goal of every week 8, for me to come out of it a completely different, transformed human being and do it. If I do that 6 times a year, I cannot imagine who I'm going to be 2 or 3 years from today, right? So, 8 days ago, 9 days ago, and whenever that was, I was honestly a little bit burned out. I was a little bit exhausted. And the one realization that I had was that I was not going to push harder. I was going to push less. And then I checked myself into a rehab. No, just kidding. No, just kidding. I went to this place called Rhythmia in Costa Rica. And, this is a little bit personal, a little bit controversial, but I did several back-to-back plant medicine. So very laughing emoji. Thank you for that one. I did several back-to-back plant medicine ayahuasca ceremonies and several back-to-back breathwork ceremonies. And I'll just share with you guys my experience. Hopefully nobody puts the block or the report or whatever on this. I trust you. You guys do your work too, right? And I think the biggest mistake that people make with these things in plant medicine and whatever is treating it as a recreational thing instead of having an intention around it. And the reason I like Rhythmia is that they do a lot of like other work around the ceremonies, right? Like there's a lot of meditation and yoga and workshops and a lot of meditation or a lot of intention setting workshop. So we went into it with 3 intentions, right? The first intention was show me who I've become, right? Show me a become. And I was like, I don't know what to make of it. Like, we'll see, right? I know I have a lot of issues because I'm human, right? Just like the rest of us. Like I have a lot of issues. Like I almost have like too many different parts of the psyche that I'm pretty aware of that do different things and that sabotage me in different ways. So this was like interesting. Like I'm really curious, what is like the biggest blind spot that is holding me back right now? And the second intention was once you get through that, once you see in the ceremony, once you see in front of you who you have become, then you move into the second intention, which is merge me with my soul at all cost, right? I was like, well, that's cool because my experience many times talking to my higher self is like, am I talking to my higher self? Am I talking my ego, right? It's kind of hard to tell sometimes. And the third intention was heal my heart. So anyway, so I don't know what Numa is. I don't even know how to pronounce it. So the answer is no. Somebody asked in the chat if I have been with Numa. Nope. Anyhow, so we went into the first ceremony. And I will tell you honestly, I don't smoke weed. I don't do other stuff because I just don't like it. It just makes me paranoid. I get really confused and that stuff just doesn't work for me. I really like having, control of my mind, for lack of a better word. I just really don't enjoy like just being out of control, right? I don't know if anybody can relate, but that's just my experience. So I went into the ceremony and I've done a ceremony before. I've done two before and it didn't go so well. I just had, one was great, one was like not so great. But anyway, so I went into the ceremony and I just, it was the familiar, just like confused, paranoid, more confused than paranoid. But there's this feeling of like, oh my gosh, I can't make sense of my thoughts that are just like all over the place. This is really frustrating. Like, how am I supposed to be doing shadow work here when I can't even keep track of my thoughts and it's all a mess, right? And it was this like just like trying to grab onto the thoughts, trying to put two and two together, sense making of things, right? And I was like, well, shit, this really isn't working for me. So I'm in a wrong place. Like, I hope the ceremony is over soon. Don't like it, right? And then I realized like what they told us in a workshop before, like that knowledge came to me in the ceremony. And that is, and that was this. We all came into this lifetime being fully merged with our soul. We're fully at home. We have the knowingness. We have the total awareness, the feeling of whole and complete. That's how we incarnate here. However, a split event happens at some point where, a triggering event, a trigger happens and you separate from your soul because it is no longer safe to be so whole and complete because something happens, a trigger happens and you split. And for some people that happens in the womb already. And for some people it happens when they're, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Somewhere in there. It's usually before the age of 4. And, that, I was reminded in a workshop of that. Now I'm in the ceremony and I'm feeling so freaking confused and I can't make sense of things. And I'm like, what am I doing here? And all of a sudden I was taken to an experience of a 4-year-old. And, mind you, I didn't have a very traumatic childhood. I have like a very average, Eastern European upbringing. There's not a lot of drama happening, right? So I don't have any sexual abuse, none of that, right? Thankfully. But the split happens to everybody. The split happens to everybody, right? This doesn't matter if you had a traumatic childhood or like pretty average. And as I was taken to being a 4-year-old and, I was actually, I was being spanked for something and I didn't know what it was for. And my mom asked, like, do you know what it's for? And I said, yes. And I was lying because I know that's what I'm supposed to say. But that was my split moment. I actually became really confused and I became really like, that's when I separated and I was like, what is wrong with me? And I couldn't figure it out. There was this like, I just don't know what's wrong with me. I can't figure it out. Like, and I started living in the context of, if I can just figure out the right way to be, just be a good child or whatever that was, right? If I can just figure out the right way to be, then, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be safe. I'm going to be loved or whatever, right? And I saw that moment where I just really like went from being a very happy child and very whole and complete to being very, very confused and not knowing who the heck I was, and living in this, like, if I can just figure out the right way to be, then things are going to be okay, and making sense and figuring it out. I got into a loop of figuring things out. And that's what and the feeling of it, that the sheer agony of that confusion, in a normal life, you don't feel it as, as a very strong emotion. You're just kind of like doing your mentalizing and figuring things out. It doesn't mean a lot to you, right? But in the ceremony, all the emotions that you're supposed to see get like 10x, right? So it's inescapable. The feeling of the confusion and the sheer agony of trying to make sense of your own thoughts and like, where I am, how do I fit? Am I a good person? Am I a bad person? What am I doing here? Like, why can I just figure out the right way to exist in the world? Like, that sheer agony of that was right in front of me. And and it was inescapable. And the funny thing was that I was trying to like do the thing that I've always done, apparently, without knowing that, and figure my way out of this sheer agony, right? If I can just figure out a way to like not feel this so strong, if I can just figure myself out of this, then that I have a win, right? And of course that wasn't working. And the only way actually out of this or through this was to completely accept and completely forgive and re-own that part. And once that was done, I will tell you, and this was like an hour of the ceremony, right? And there were several ceremonies after. So that just gives you a sense of like how deep this went, right? And this alone was completely life transforming for me. And the subsequent, I never had this confused feeling again. It just wasn't there, right? So that's like an example of what shadow work looks for me, right? And I feel like, there's many, many ways you could do it. For me, I just like doing it fast, right? I don't have the patience. I don't have 20 years to go to a therapist or do all these different modalities that just take a while. The thing with ayahuasca is that you go straight to the center of the problem. It just takes you right there. And it can be extremely grueling. It can be extremely painful. I'm not going to lie. The emotions are absolutely very, very, very difficult, right? And the experience of it can be just really, really, really tough. But the cool thing about this was that in the ceremony, what's coming is going. And I love that, because I began, like by ceremony number 3, I began feeling thankful for all the hard shit that was coming out, because it was coming out, right? In the ceremony, what's coming is literally like it's deep excavation work where you're pulling out of your subconscious all the things that need to be processed out of the system, right? So they're being pulled out. And, so many times, we all know, you guys know that everything is a projection, right? When you're being triggered something, you should look inward. The thing is though, a lot of the times, like, we're being triggered, but I don't do that. Why am I being triggered by it? That's because it's so deeply repressed, right? It's so deeply repressed, you can't see it. But with the plant medicine and with some of the modalities that go really, really deep, you'll be pulling things out of your subconscious that are running the show, without you even have any idea that they are, if that makes any sense, right? It's like the invisible force, the invisible strings that are kind of pulling you in different directions without you having any idea, because it's so deeply repressed, you just don't even know. And that's where this deep work, like, we talk about mindset so much, guys. And I can tell you, like, this mindset and working on beliefs and, some of even the mental rehearsal stuff that we do in my program and yada, yada, yada. That's all good. But it's sort of surfacey, right? Because it's like, it feels like a Band-Aid. And self-care is even more of a Band-Aid, honestly, right? When you pull these things out, when you yank them out, and most people are not willing to do that because it's so freaking hard. When you yank these things out, a lot of like the dominoes start collapsing, and a lot of the self-care becomes more about maintaining you being in your higher self, or merged fully with your soul, not so much about making yourself feel better. So that's the importance of week 8. And I really, really I encourage you to look at your year. Like, don't wait till like the beginning of 2021. Like, do a reset now and look at your year. Look at when it's going to be launches. Look at when it's your onboarding week. For next year, we're going to do longer time off, right? And we might do, instead of 8-week cycle, it's going to be a 10-week cycle, right? So we do work longer and then we take more time off or whatever. But you need to build in time for your spiritual transformation, because the impact on your business, it is your responsibility as a business owner, and it is your responsibility as a human that incarnated on this planet to transform, right? We didn't come here to just like accumulate in this and that. And it's a responsibility to the people that you can make a difference with, right? Because that's what you're here to do. You're here to serve and deliver on your purpose, which is causing transformation in the world. So this is your responsibility to yourself, to your business, and to people you're serving, to be doing your spiritual work. And by the way, it does come with an investment, just like everything else. Do not tell yourself that you don't have the money and you don't have the time. Do not let the ego tell you that, because this is literally the most important thing you will do for yourself and your life and for your kids, right? One of the biggest changes the biggest shift that I've seen is I had such resistance to, like, I really, really love working, but it was almost too much. And then when I was with Lexi, my 16-month-old, I was like, it's just like thinking about business, thinking about clients, like thinking about all the time. That is not there. One of the things that I let go in a ceremony, I think it was at the end of the first ceremony, was literally pulling out energetically connection to my clients. There was some over responsibility taken. For those of you guys who are empaths, this is also some crucial work, right? Because you take so much responsibility for your clients and you worry about them, and you take so much responsibility for their success or whatever. And then when you're with your family members, right, you're thinking about work and you're thinking about all these other things you need to be doing, right? And when you process, this is one of the many things they process there too, but that's one of the cool things, that when you do the shadow work, the effect is not just in your business, but also with your family. You get to be more present. You actually get to enjoy the time with them instead of resisting it, right? Instead of being impatient because you have to take care of a toddler or whatever, or a sick parent or whatever you have, and actually like be in the experience of it and enjoy it. So, this is a conversation that I wanted to have with you guys. I really appreciate you guys being here. You guys know that I'm like no fluff and really usually like to stick to business, more or less. But I really wanted to take this opportunity to discuss this, because I don't know how I'm going to bring this into my program, but I almost feel like it should be like the week 1 of, Are You Long Incubator? Like, go do some inner work so that you can merge with yourself, with capital S, and the business that you're creating is coming from the right place, right? Because so many times, like, we do a little bit of shifting spiritual, like, oops, serving the wrong people, right? So, back to, for a minute, I want to talk about business strategy and what to expect this Thursday, right? So next Thursday. So sorry, next Thursday, not this Thursday. Next Thursday, that's our week 2. We're doing the Scale Retreat. Okay, so you guys are probably familiar with our Serve retreats. That's our core brand. That's our 0 to multi 6 figures ish scaling retreat, right? Our Scale is happening next week, and that is for those of you who are already close to, hi Carolyn, who are already close to 6 figures, or know you're on track and you know how to go to the next level, right? And it's going to be very intimate. It's going to be a limited number of people. Why? Because there's just not that many people who've made it to six figures to begin with, right? What is it, like 3%, 2% of the coaches, therapists, healers, and consultants? Not very many people, right? Quite frankly. So I'm really, really excited about this. It's going to be a higher level conversation where we're going to talk about scaling to seven figures with balance, with joy, with a profitable team, right? With the right training, with the right, obviously do it using 7-day retreats, where you're going to be generating $100, $200, $300,000 in a single retreat, right? So that you can be doing sales at a scale, right? And how do you build a team that supports that? How do you build processes that supports that? And how do you do that in alignment with your life, having the joy that you want, having the time with your family? This is one of my biggest responsibilities as a single mom to a very small child, right? And this is actually where I really, what I get passionate about. It's not always easy, but kind of flipping the script on how we build and grow our business. One of the things that I want to institute in my company is doing a 4-day work week. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I want to do it, right? Because I think life is so much more than a business. And at the same time, my business is such a joy and passion for me, right? But there's so much more to life than that, right? There's the family, there's the friendships, there's the travel, right? Something that I'm so passionate about. When Lexi was born, she was about 3 weeks old. We took an RV. We went around all the national parks on the west side of the US, right? So we saw Yosemite, Yellowstone, Glacier, Sequoia, Kings Canyon, Joshua Tree, all these places we saw. And I was able to do that because I was running my business in alignment. I was doing it on 4 to 5 hours working a day, right? I still had to do it. I couldn't afford at the time maternity leave, but it is so important. Like exploration and travel is super important to me. So is spiritual work. I do a spiritual retreat every 8 weeks. That is my responsibility as a mom. That is my responsibility as a business owner. And every single 8 weeks, I'm shifting somewhere, right? So building your business, just be the most amazing business with the most amazing clients you can have on one hand, but also having all these other dreams and areas of your life in alignment and really fulfilling on whatever your intentions are there as well. So it is totally possible. People are like, I don't even know how. I did it as a single mom. And mind you, November 2019, you know how much I had on my account? $3,000. That was it. I was standing in line for WIC, guys. Some of you guys know this, right? WIC, like food stamps for pregnant moms, because that was the rock bottom for me, right? So it is totally possible. It is possible for you, right? If you're at zero, you want to be in the next serve retreat. If you're near six figures, you want to be on the scale retreat next week. Whichever group you're watching this from, right? If you're watching this from the scale group, you're already registered, you're good to go. I cannot wait to see you there. We're going to be emailing out a worksheet. Our team is going to want to get to know you. It's we're going to be doing, I don't know if we're going to be doing implementation calls because it's we might handle it differently, but we typically do connect calls, get to know you calls, intention setting call ahead of time. So my team is going to be reaching out to you, welcoming you to the group. Use that opportunity. Set the time with them. It's not a sales call, okay? Our connect call is not a sales call. Nobody's going to make you buy, any of our courses or programs or whatever, right? That's what sales calls are for. If we want to have you on a sales call, we'll ask you for a sales call if we think that you're a great fit, or if you think you're a great fit, right? But we really want to connect with you. We really want to get to, prepare you for what's going to happen next week. So take that opportunity, connect with River or Ildiko or Melissa or Jay or whoever sends you a message. Go to your message request, check that out, and really share with them. Like, spend some quality time with them. It's almost like 10. It's only like 10 minutes, 15 at the most, but spend some quality time with them and really share with them what your intention and what your goals are and where you're stopped. Like, they're geniuses at this. They're not to toot my horn, but they're trained by us, and they're very, very good at guiding you into the right direction in your business. So make sure you get together with them. And if you want to schedule a consult, like if you're like, okay, I know I want to work with you, and you have been kind of like thinking about it for a while, and you're like, oh, finally it's the time. Somebody's going to put a consult link and you can schedule a consult. But consult and connect calls are two different things, right? Connect call is to get to know you call, set the intention for the next week's scale retreat. You want to do that. If you want to work with us, get a consult. I hope that distinction makes sense to you guys, right? Connect is not to talk about working together. Consult is about working together. I hope that makes sense. We just really like to keep it clean and in integrity and like, you know, just set the expectations for you guys so everybody's on the same page. Next week, it's going to be, you know, my intention is for you to come away a different person, to have such clarity and, you know, newfound enthusiasm and hope and like knowing exactly what you need to do to take your business to the 7-figure mark. You decide to work with us after, great. You don't, that's great too. But I want you to come away saying like, holy shit, like this is exactly what I needed. And that's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to go very, very strategic. We're going to give you some tactics too, but you're going to understand exactly what is it that you need to do to, you know, we're now, you know, next year we're going to be an 8-figure business. Right now we're a multi 7-figure business. And, you know, we did it in 18 months with a newborn. 18 months ago, it was just me and Jay working a few hours a week because that's all I could afford to pay her on a credit card, by the way, right? So it is totally doable. You're going to learn how. I'm so excited for you. And by the way, this is for people who are very, very connected to their heart and who are very, very connected. They're very, very clear about serving, you know, the people and causing transformation in the world, right? So, and those are the people who tend to be the most successful, right? It is not for product-based businesses or people who just want to make money because, you know, making money is really great. I love making money. But when you come out of it from intention of, I know that I really want to truly fulfill my purpose and serve other people, then that's when you get the strategy from us and sky becomes the limit. Literally sky becomes the limit. So if you're still coming at it from like, oh, I just want to make money because you're going to have to surrender that, right? You're going to have to let that go. And you're going to make money anyway. You're going to make a lot of money as a result, which is then going to allow you to invest into whatever you want to do in your life, spiritual wise, you know, do a spiritual retreat. You know, I spent this year alone, I invested about $120,000 into my spiritual development, my coaching, right? 18 months ago, I was so broke. It was like, you know, $850 a month or whatever, you know, was a lot of money. So, you know, you're going to be able to invest in yourself, you know, spend money on the people you love, and the money is going to be the byproduct, right? But it is really, really, really awesome for people who know what their purpose is. They have their heart all on service and wanting to help as many people as humanly possible. That's who the scale method is for. Okay. Somebody asked what's different this time. You're always mixing it up. The answer is I don't know. It depends on the group. I'm with the energy of the group and whoever comes next week. By the way, this is why we're doing the connect calls. Because we want to connect with you. Like, we are looking at what's this group need? Like, where are they at? Where are the people coming from? You know, sometimes we get a lot of people in serve stuck on niching. So we get into that, sometimes not at all. With the scale retreats, we might get a lot of people who are really overwhelmed by one-to-one coaching and they're kind of done with it and they want out of it, right? And we'll have a group of people who really feel like they need support from their team, but you know, they really don't know how to hold their team accountable for generating sales and being profitable, and they're really, really scared to not be liked or whatever. So, you know, that's why we want to talk to you. So talk to Aliko and River and Jay and Melissa and tell her what you're trying to get out of the retreat. Because I am listening to all that. You know, we're listening to all that. We don't have agenda ready for next week. We're going to be in the conversation with you, which is the magic of a small retreat. Where we get to tailor it to you and based on the questions you're asking, what you're dealing with. And, you know, the flock kind of merges together in those things. So the chances is if you're dealing with an issue, most of the people in the retreats are too, right? Because people kind of merge together and it kind of becomes a little bit of a family during the retreat. So you're going to see that. So what's going to be different? No idea. We'll see. We'll see based on who's there, right? But if you had done it before, show up anyway. Show up anyway. Did you fail implementing what we taught you last time? Totally normal, right? That's what happens. That's why you should be a client. But don't make yourself wrong, because failing is part of growing our business. It's like you have to fail. You have to celebrate your failures, because you're either winning, right, or you are growing. You don't want to be winning all the time, because you'll be missing out on the growing, right? When we had our first $600,000 retreat cycle, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. But what did I learn? Nothing, right? And then I had half of that after. I was like, oh shit. And I learned everything. So you gotta be doing some failing too, which is the fun part of it. Anyway, we're like 17 minutes over, guys. I gotta clock out because I'm teaching a positioning and strategy call in QLE. I will see you guys next week. I'm gonna show up for our live show. I don't know what I'm gonna teach, so let us know what you want to know before the retreat. What is it that you need sorted out? We're gonna come with a great topic anyway. And then next Thursday, put it on your calendar. Actually, I don't know what time it is. It's sometimes in the afternoon. I think it's like 2 Eastern or something like that. Next Wednesday. Okay, it's 4 Eastern is the scale retreat. Next Wednesday, 4 Eastern is the session 1. And then session 2 is 2 hours after. And we're going to do a lot of back-to-back, right? So it's Wednesday afternoon, Thursday afternoon, and Friday and Saturday, we're planning in loosely some bonus sessions based on what the group needs, some Q&A, maybe some spiritual stuff, because, we all need that. So make sure you be there. So excited for you guys. So excited. I can't wait to get to know you guys too. I don't know how we're like, I might do some of the implementation calls or whatever, or just sit on them to get to know you. And we might do some closer Q&A or whatever. All right. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see if there's any questions. Joy says, what called you to the plant medicine process? Oh, good question. I don't even know. I've been thinking about it for 5 years, but I was chicken shit about it, So I finally said, I'm not afraid of losing my sanity, and it's very, very safe. So finally, I just did it, because I've done all the other things, and this is like a whole nother level. All right. So bye, everybody, and I'll